April the 29th, 1945, 4 in the morning. Deep beneath the Reich Chancellery Garden in Berlin, 4 men gather around a small table in the Führerbunker. Wilhelm Burgdorf, Joseph Goebbels, Hans Krebs, Martin Bormann. They witness Adolf Hitler sign his last will and testament. Outside, Soviet artillery pounds the city. Inside, Bormann puts his signature on the most important document he will ever touch. Hitler calls him my most faithful party comrade, names him executor of his estate. 48 hours later, Bormann is dead on a bridge in the ruins of Berlin. How did the second most powerful man in Nazi Germany go from that bunker table to a corpse with cyanide glass in his jaw? What happened in those final hours? We know Bormann. Born June 17th, 1900. Joined the Freikorps in 1922. Prison in 1924 for murder. Accomplice to Rudolf Höss, who later commanded Auschwitz. Nazi Party member, 60,508 in 1927. Chief of Staff to Rudolf Hess in 1933. When Hess flew to Britain in May 1941, Bormann took everything. Head of the party chancellery, Hitler's private secretary from April 12, 1943, the man who controlled access to the Führer, the man who decided who got to see Hitler and who didn't. By 1945, Bormann had de facto control over all domestic policy in Germany. He signed the decree extending the Nuremberg laws east on May 31st, 1941. He signed the order on October 9th, 1942, that the final solution would be handled with ruthless force in special camps. He gave Adolf Eichmann absolute power over Jews on July 1st, 1943. 5.5 to 6 million Jews exterminated. Bormann's signature on the paperwork, January 16th in 1945. Bormann follows Hitler into the Führerbunker for the last time. The Battle of Berlin starts April 16th. Red Army encircles the city by April 19th. Hitler's 56th birthday on April 20th. He awards Iron Crosses to boy soldiers in the ruined Reich Chancellery Garden. His last trip above ground. Soviet shells hit Berlin for the first time that afternoon. The center can hold less than 2 days, Wonka tells Hitler on April 30th morning. Back to that table at 4 in the morning on April 29th. Hitler dictates his will to Traudl Junge in another room, appoints Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz as Reich President, Joseph Goebbels as Reich Chancellor, Martin Bormann as Party Minister. Hermann Göring and Heinrich Himmler are stripped of everything for attempting to negotiate surrender. The will goes out of Berlin in 3 copies, 1 to Dönitz, 1 to Field Marshal Ferdinand Schörner, 1 for preservation and publication. Later that same day, Hitler marries Eva Braun in a civil ceremony. Hours counting down. If you value documented World War II history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from Antony Beevor's Berlin, The Downfall, published by Penguin in 2002, cross-referenced with Ian Kershaw's Hitler, a biography published by Norton in 2008, and forensic documentation from Professor Wolfgang Eisenmenger at Ludwig Maximilian University of Munich, dated May 1998. Now back to the information. April 30th, afternoon, 3:30. Hitler and Eva Braun commit suicide in the Führerbunker. She takes cyanide. He shoots himself. Bodies carried up to the Reich Chancellery Garden. Burned. Bormann is now officially party minister, highest position in the Nazi Party. Dönitz is president. Goebbels is chancellor. No successor to the title, Führer. Goebbels sends a telegram to Dönitz. The Führer died yesterday at 15:30 hours. Testament of April 29th appoints you as Reich president. Bormann intends to go to you today. Time and form of announcement left to you. Goebbels' tenure as chancellor lasts hours. He and his wife Magda poison their 6 children with cyanide capsules. 8:30 at night on May 1st, both emerge into the Chancellery Garden, shot by an SS orderly at their own request. May 1st, 11 at night, 2300 hours, Bormann leaves the Führerbunker. With him, with SS Dr. Ludwig Stumpfegger, Hitler Youth Leader Arthur Axmann, Hitler's pilot Hans Bauer, driver Erich Kempke, State Secretary Werner Naumann, 10 groups total attempting breakout from Soviet encirclement. Bormann carries a copy of Hitler's will. They move through tunnels from the Chancellery to the subway line, underground through the U-Bahn to Friedrichstrasse station. They surface into hell, Berlin in flames, Russian shells bursting everywhere around them. The moon is waning but more than half full, enough to see by. The first group crosses the River Spree at an iron footbridge running parallel to the Weidendamme Bridge. Bormann's group gets confused, disoriented. They move north along Friedrichstrasse to the Weidendamme Bridge itself. At the north end, anti-tank barrier, heavy Russian fire. They pull back to the south end. German tanks arrive. A King Tiger commanded by SS NCO Georg Diers, a self-propelled assault gun, Bormann, Axmann, Stumpfegger, and others gather behind the tanks. They push forward. Around 1 a.m. on May 2nd, the Tiger tank leads the charge across the bridge. Soviet anti-tank round hits it. The explosion knocks Bormann and Stumpfegger to the ground. Axmann is wounded. They retreat. Third attempt succeeds. Bormann, Stumpfegger, and Axmann cross the spree. Now it's every man for himself. They follow the surface railway tracks north, heading for Lehrter Station. Bormann and Stumpfegger want to go east on Invalidenstrasse. Axmann decides to go west. He runs into a Russian patrol, turns back, follows the path Bormann and Stumpfegger took. He finds them behind the bridge where Invalidenstrasse crosses the railroad tracks, both on their backs, moonlight on their faces, both dead. Axmann sees no signs of explosion, assumes they were shot in the back. He doesn't have time to check thoroughly, keeps moving, escapes Berlin, hides with Hitler Youth in the Bavarian Alps for 6 months, captured eventually. The time is somewhere between 1:30 and 2:30 in the morning. May 2nd, 1945. Martin Bormann dies on that bridge. General Helmuth Weidling surrenders Berlin unconditionally to General Vasily Chuikov at 9 in the morning, 7 hours later. The battle is over. Bormann's body stays where it fell. 8 days pass. May 8th. A retired postal worker named Albert Krumnow gets orders from the Soviets. Bury 2 bodies near the railway bridge near Lehrter Station. Krumnow and his colleague Wagenfohl do the work. 1 body in Wehrmacht uniform, the other in underwear only. Wagenfohl finds an SS doctor's paybook on the second body, Ludwig Stumpfegger. Wagenfohl gives the paybook to his boss, Postal Chief Berndt. Berndt turns it over to the Soviets. They destroy it. Wagenfohl writes to Stumpfegger's wife on August 14th, 1945. Your husband's body is interred with several other dead soldiers in the grounds of the Alpendorf in Berlin, northwest 40 Karts, Invalidenstrasse 63. But nobody knows about Bormann. The Soviets never admit finding his body. His fate remains unknown. The mystery begins. Nuremberg. October 18th, where stars 1945. Chief prosecutors bring charges against 24 leading German officials. Martin Bormann among them. Public notices about the trial go out in newspapers and radio in October and November. In case Bormann is still alive, he must be notified. The trial starts November 20th, 1945. Bormann tried in absentia under Article 12 of the Charter. 3 counts: conspiracy to wage war of aggression, war crimes, crimes against humanity, prosecution assigned to Lieutenant Thomas Lambert Jr., defense to Friedrich Bergold. The prosecution states Bormann participated in planning and co-signed virtually all anti-Semitic legislation the regime produced. Bergold argues the court cannot convict a dead man, but he can't prove Bormann is dead. Due to the shadowy nature of Bormann's activities, Bergold can't refute the prosecution's assertions about his involvement in decision-making. October 1st, 1946, verdict: convicted of war crimes and crimes against humanity, acquitted of conspiracy to wage war of aggression, sentenced to death by hanging, with provision that if found alive later, new facts could reduce or overturn the sentence. Sightings start Argentina, Spain, Denmark, Italy, South America, Australia. Bormann's wife placed under surveillance in case he tries to contact her. Jakob Glass, Bormann's chauffeur for years, insists he saw Bormann in Munich in July 1946. Reinhard Gehlen, Army intelligence officer, claims in his autobiography that Bormann was a Soviet spy who escaped to Moscow. Simon Wiesenthal believes Bormann is living in South America. The CIA tries to locate him. West German government tries. Nobody succeeds. 1963. Albert Krumnow tells police his story. Around May 8, 1945, Soviets ordered him to bury 2 bodies near the railway bridge near Lehrter Station. He remembers. Wagenfohl found the SS paybook. Excavations on July the 20th and 21st, 1965 at the site, specified by Axmann and Krumnow. They find nothing. 8 years pass. December 7th, 1972. Construction workers near Lehrter Station in West Berlin uncover human remains, 12 meters from the spot where Krumnow said he buried them. 2 skeletons. Autopsies begin. Fragments of glass found in the jaws of both skeletons. Cyanide capsules, bitten to avoid capture. Dental records reconstructed from memory in 1945 by Hugo Blaschke, Hitler's dentist and Bormann's dentist. 1 skeleton matches Bormann. Damage to the collarbone consistent with injuries Bormann's sons reported he sustained in a riding accident in 1939. Forensic examiners determined the size of skeleton and shape of skull identical to Bormann's. The second skeleton, deemed to be Stumpfegger's, similar height to his last known proportions. Composite photographs created, images of skulls overlaid on photographs of the men's faces. Completely congruent. Facial reconstruction undertaken in early 1973 on both skulls. West German government declares Bormann dead soon after. West Germany officially ends its hunt for Bormann in 1971, a year before the discovery is seen, but the declaration of death comes in 73. Bormann's family refuses burial, refuses to take possession of remains. The bones go into a vault at the public prosecutor's office in Karlsruhe, shared with the Federal Court of Justice. They sit there for 25 years, May 4th. 1998. German authorities order genetic testing on fragments of the skull. Professor Wolfgang Eisenmenger at Ludwig Maximilian University of Munich leads the testing. DNA from one of Bormann's relatives used for comparison. The skull is Martin Bormann, confirmed. After being released to his family, Bormann's remains are cremated. Ashes scattered over the Baltic Sea on August 16th, 1999. Done in part to prevent neo-Nazis from creating a monument from any potential tomb. But we need to go back to those hours. April 29th through May 2nd. What was Bormann doing? What was he thinking? What decisions led him to that bridge? April 29th, 4 a.m. The testament signing, Bormann witnesses Hitler's final wishes. Executor of the estate. Hitler trusts him above all others. My most faithful party comrade. At that moment, Bormann still has power. He's still the second man, still controls information flow, still makes decisions. But Hitler is planning suicide. Goebbels will be chancellor, but Goebbels is also planning to die. Dönitz will be president, but Dönitz is in Flensburg, North Germany near the Danish border. Bormann is trapped in Berlin. Soviet forces closing in from all directions. The center of the city can hold less than 2 days. What are his options? Stay in the bunker, wait for the Soviets, face capture, interrogation, execution, or worse, public trial. Bormann knows what he signed, knows what he authorized, knows the documents with his signature, the decrees, the orders, millions dead. He knows what awaits him if captured, or he can try to escape. 10 groups plan to break out. Bormann decides to go. Takes a copy of Hitler's will, maybe to deliver it to Dönitz, maybe as proof of authority, maybe just because Hitler told him to be executor. April 30th, afternoon, Hitler and Eva Braun die. Bodies burned, Bormann, now party minister officially. But what does that mean with Hitler dead, with Goebbels about to die, with Soviet tanks in the streets, with the Reich collapsing hour by hour? Bormann stays in the bunker, waits, plans. The breakout groups are forming. Mohnke's battle group on the surface. Others preparing underground routes. Bormann joins one of the groups. Ludwig Stumpfegger, 41 years old, 6'4", Hitler's personal surgeon, specialist in orthopedics and traumatology. Arthur Axmann, 31 years old, head of Hitler Youth since 1940. Missing right arm lost at Stalingrad. Hans Bauer, 50 years old, Hitler's pilot since 1932. Erich Kempke, 44 years old, Hitler's chauffeur. Werner Naumann, 43 years old, State Secretary in Goebbels' propaganda ministry. These men with Bormann, they're not soldiers, not really. Bauer flew planes, Kempke drove cars, Stumpfegger cut bones, Naumann wrote propaganda, Axmann led children, Bormann pushed paper. Now they're trying to fight through Soviet encirclement of Berlin, through streets held by the Red Army, through a city being shelled constantly, trying to reach German lines, trying to survive. May 1st, 11 at night, they leave, the bunker behind them, the dead Führer behind them, Goebbels preparing to die behind them. They move into the tunnels, underground, dark, the sound of shells above. They follow the U-Bahn tunnel to Friedrichstrasse station, up to the surface, and the city is burning, everything burning. Smoke, explosions, machine gun fire, artillery. The Reich Chancellery behind them is a shell. The streets are rubble, bodies everywhere. Soviet forces everywhere. The first group makes it across. Iron footbridge parallel to Weidendamme Bridge, but Bormann's group loses them, can't find the footbridge, goes to the main bridge instead. Friedrichstrasse runs north across the Spree at Weidendamme. Old bridge, built in the 1600s, cast iron construction from 1824, ornate wrought iron railings, lanterns, imperial eagles. In 1945, it's a killing ground. Anti-tank barrier at the north end. Soviet positions. Heavy fire. The group pulls back. Waits at the south end. German tanks arrive. Where they came from, who sent them, unclear. A King Tiger tank. One of the largest, heaviest tanks Germany produced. 54 tons empty, 68.5 tons fully loaded. Crew of 5, 128mm main gun. Two 7.9 2mm machine guns, frontal armor at 150 millimeters thick, top speed 41.5 kilometers per hour on roads, much slower on rubble, and a self-propelled assault gun, probably a Sturmgeschütz. These vehicles are the spearhead. Hundreds of German soldiers and civilians gather behind them. Word spread of the breakout attempt. Everyone wants across the Spree. Everyone wants out. Around 1 in the morning, the attack begins. The Tiger tank leads, moving onto the bridge. Soviet gunners zero in. They're waiting. They've been waiting. The bridge is a choke point, predictable. The anti-tank round hits, catastrophic. The tank stops, explodes. The shockwave throws Bormann and Stumpfegger to the ground. Axmann is wounded. The attack fails. They pull back. Second attempt, same result. Another tank. Another hit. More men dead. Back to the south end of the bridge. Third attempt around 1 in the morning. Different tactics. Spread out more. Use smoke. Use suppressing fire. This time they make it. Bormann, Stumpfegger, Axmann cross the Spree. They're on the north side. But now what? They're still in Berlin. Still surrounded. Soviet forces ahead of them, behind them, on all sides. The railway tracks run north. They follow them. Heading for Lehrter Station, major railway hub, maybe transportation, maybe German forces, maybe a way out. Bormann and Stumpfegger stay together. Axmann with them initially. They reach Lehrter Station, big building, heavy damage. They consider their options. Bormann and Stumpfegger want to go east on Invalidenstrasse, street running east-west through the Moabit district. Maybe thinking they can circle around Soviet positions, maybe hoping to find German lines to the east. Axmann wants to go west. They split up. Every man for himself now. The group is dissolved. Survival instinct takes over. Axmann goes west. Doesn't get far. Soviet patrol, he's lucky. They don't capture him immediately. He runs. Doubles back. Follows the route Bormann and Stumpfegger took east on Invalidenstrasse. He's moving fast. Desperate. Behind him, gunfire. Artillery. The Soviets are everywhere. He reaches the bridge where Invalidenstrasse crosses the railroad tracks. And he sees them. 2 bodies. On their backs. Behind the bridge, moonlight on their faces. Martin Bormann and Ludwig Stumpfegger. Both dead. Axmann stops. Looks. No visible wounds. No blood. No obvious cause of death. He assumes they were shot in the back. Soviet bullets. He doesn't have time to examine closely. He needs to keep moving. He's in danger every second he stays there. He leaves them. Keeps going. Gets out of Berlin eventually. Hides in Bavaria. 6 months later. Captured. The time is approximately 1:30 to 2:30 in the morning, May 2nd, 1945. Somewhere in that hour window, Martin Bormann dies, 44 years old. Born in Wegeleben, died on a bridge in Berlin, executor of Hitler's estate, party minister. War criminal, mass murderer, architect of genocide, dead on the ground in his underwear or Wehrmacht uniform. Sources differ on the details. With cyanide glass in his jaw, what happened in those final minutes? Axmann saw no wounds, assumed Soviet bullets. But the autopsy in '72 found glass in the jaw. Cyanide capsule. Self-administered, suicide. Why? Soviet patrol approaching, certainty of capture, fear of interrogation, fear of trial. Did he see Soviet soldiers coming and bite down? Did he and Stumpfegger make a pact? Both die together, both escape justice together. We know Stumpfegger had the capsule too, glass in his jaw too. Both men dead within minutes of each other, both in the same location. Behind the bridge, the details matter. The bridge where Invalidenstrasse crosses the railroad tracks. 12 meters from where Krumnow buried them 8 days later. The Alpendorf grounds, Invalidenstrasse 63. Found in '72, 12 meters off, close enough for construction workers to uncover them. The bodies were shallow. Krumnow and Wagenfol had limited time. Soviet orders, bury them fast, get back to work. The war is over, but the occupation is beginning. Bodies everywhere in Berlin, thousands, tens of thousands. 2 more don't matter to the Soviets. Bury them, move on. But one body is Martin Bormann. Second most powerful man in Nazi Germany, signatory on genocide, executor of Hitler's will, and nobody knows. The Soviets don't identify him. Wagenfol finds Stumpfegger's pay book, turns it in, it's destroyed. Bormann's identification, if he had any, disappears, maybe looted, maybe lost, maybe removed deliberately. His body goes into the ground anonymous. Albert Krumnow remembers where, Wagenfol remembers Stumpfegger, but Bormann is just another corpse in a city of corpses. 27 years pass, Nuremberg trial, conviction in absentia, death sentence. Sightings around the world, CIA searches, West German government searches, 100,000 Deutsche Mark reward in 64. Simon Wiesenthal hunting him. Reinhard Gehlen claiming he escaped to Moscow. Wild theories. Argentina, Paraguay, Chile, Ecuador, Florida. The mystery grows. The legend grows. Maybe Bormann got out. Maybe he had Nazi gold. Maybe he had escape routes planned. Maybe he's living comfortable in South America with other fugitive Nazis. The longer the body stays unidentified, the more the theories spread. But Bormann died on May 2nd, 1945, between 1:30 and 2:30 in the morning, on a bridge near Invalidenstrasse and the Lehrter station railway tracks in Berlin. He bit a cyanide capsule. Glass shattered in his jaw. Poison entered his bloodstream. Death within seconds. Ludwig Stumpfegger beside him. Same method, same time. Both men choosing death over capture. Both men cheating justice. Both men avoiding public trial, public execution, public accountability for their crimes. Arthur Axmann saw them. Told British intelligence after his capture. Hugh Trevor Roper, British intelligence investigator, took Axmann's testimony, published The Last Days of Hitler in 1946, left Bormann's death open question. Axmann's testimony was truthful about other events, verifiable facts, but maybe he lied about Bormann. Maybe protecting him. Maybe Bormann paid him. Maybe Bormann escaped and Axmann helped create the death story. Trevor Roper couldn't be sure, so the question stayed open. Bormann's status unknown. Excavation in 65. Wrong spot. Nothing found. Theories persist. Then 72. Construction workers. 12 meters from Krumnow's location. 2 skeletons. Right there. All along. Right there. Shallow grave. Berlin earth. Dental records. Collarbone damage. Skull size. Skull shape. Composite photographs. Facial reconstruction. Forensic examination. It's him. It's Bormann. DNA testing in 98 confirms it. Absolutely. No doubt, no question. No conspiracy theory holds water anymore. The remains are Martin Bormann, so the final hours play out like this. April the 29th, 4 in the morning. Testament, April 30th, 3:30 afternoon. Hitler dead, May 1st, 2030. Goebbels dead, May 1st, 2300. Bormann leaves bunker, May 2nd, 100 hours approximately. Cross Weidendammer Bridge, third attempt, May 2nd, 1:30 to 2:30. Bormann and Stumpfegger reach Invalidenstrasse Bridge. Soviet patrol or certainty of capture. Bite capsules. Die within minutes. May 2nd at 900 hours. Weidling surrenders Berlin. May 8th. Krumnow buries the bodies. Unknown, unidentified, forgotten. 1945 to 72. Bormann exists in limbo. Dead, but not confirmed dead. Convicted, but not executed. Hunted, but never found. The body in the ground while the world searches. Argentina, Moscow, Munich. Everywhere except 12 meters from where Krumnow said. Until construction workers in 72 with shovels turn over dirt and find bones, and suddenly the mystery collapses. The legend ends. The truth emerges. Martin Bormann died in Berlin, May 2nd, 1945. Cyanide. Quick. Relatively painless compared to what his victims endured, compared to gas chambers, compared to execution squads, compared to death marches, compared to starvation in camps. Bormann got an easy death. He chose it. He controlled it. Just like he controlled information flow to Hitler. Just like he controlled policy. Just like he controlled who lived and who died across Europe. Final control, final decision, final act. But the body tells the truth. Glass in jaw. Cyanide. Suicide. The forensics don't lie. Wolfgang Eisenmenger, professor of forensic science, doesn't lie. DNA doesn't lie. The remains are Martin Bormann, executor of Hitler's estate, party minister, a war criminal, dead on May 2nd, 1945, buried on May 8th by Albert Krumnow, found December 7th, 1972, identified definitively, cremated August 16th, 1999, ashes scattered over Baltic Sea, gone, no tomb, no monument, no final resting place, scattered, anonymous, forgotten, as it should be. What did those 24 hours look like from inside? Not the tactical movements, not just the timeline. What was in Bormann's head? 1945. Bormann is 44. Married to Gerda Buch since September 2nd, 1929. 10 children. Martin Adolf born April 14th, 1930, named after Hitler, his godfather. Ilse, born July 9th. 1931, twin sister Ehrengard died at birth. Renamed Eike after Hess fled to Britain. Irmgard born July 25th or 28th, 1933. Rudolf Gerhard born August 31st, 1934. Named after Hess, renamed helmet after the flight. Heinrich Hugo, born June 13th, 1936, named after Himmler. Eva Ute, born May 4th, 1938. Goethe, born August 4th, 1940. Fritz Hartmut, born April 3rd, 1942. Volker, born September 18th, 1943. The 10th child, another son, born in March 1945, while Bormann is in the Führerbunker. 10 children. Gerda and the children flee Obersalzberg for Italy on April 25th after Allied air attack. She dies of cancer March 23rd, 1946, in Murano, Italy. Bormann never sees her again after April, never sees the children again. Does he think about them in those final hours? In the bunker? On the bridge? Does he think about anything except survival? 10 children, party member, 60,508, Reichsleiter from October 10th, 1933. Overseer of Berghof renovations from 1935. Built the entire complex at Obersalzberg, 10 square kilometers. Houses for Göring, Speer, himself. Commissioned the Kelstein House, Eagle's Nest, tea house above the Berghof as gift for Hitler's 50th birthday, April 20th, Mars 1939. Hitler rarely used it. Bormann liked showing it to guests. Controlled Hitler's personal finances, royalties from Mein Kampf, image use on postage stamps. Adolf Hitler fund of German trade and industry collecting money from industrialists. Most of it kept for Hitler's personal use, some dispersed to party leaders. Bormann holding the purse strings. Bormann controlling access. Bormann deciding who got what. Power. Pure power. Not military power, not charismatic power, bureaucratic power, the power of the man who controls the schedule, the power of the man who says yes or no to meeting requests, the power of the man who reads all reports first and decides which ones Hitler sees. That's who Martin Bormann was from 1941 to 1945, the gatekeeper. Falling out of favor with Bormann meant access to Hitler was cut off. Speer learned this, Göring learned this, Goebbels learned this, Himmler learned this, Rosenberg, Ley, Frank, all learned this. Bormann proved master of intricate political infighting, ruthless, continuous, fighting for power, influence, Hitler's favor. That characterized the inner workings of the Third Reich. Not cooperation, not teamwork, infighting, competition, deliberate. Hitler wanted it that way, played top party members against each other. Nazi party against civil service, fostered distrust, competition, infighting to consolidate and maximize his own power. Bormann excelled at this game, rose to the top, second man. And on April 29th, 4 a.m, that second man sits in the Führerbunker witnessing Hitler's testament, executor of the estate, most faithful party comrade. 26 hours later, he's dead. What broke? What went wrong? Or did anything go wrong? Maybe this was always the end. Maybe Bormann knew, since January 16th, when he followed Hitler into the bunker, that this was how it ended. Maybe he planned for it. Maybe he hoped for escape, but prepared for death. Maybe the cyanide capsule was in his pocket the whole time, just in case. Just in case. Capture. Just in case trial. Just in case public exposure of everything he signed, everything he authorized, everything he enabled. Because Bormann knew. He knew better than almost anyone. He saw the documents. He signed the documents. He implemented the documents. Decree of May 31st. 1941, extending Nuremberg laws to annexed eastern territories. Jews in Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, Baltic, states now subject to Nazi racial law. Decree of October 9th, 1942, stating permanent final solution in Greater Germany could no longer be solved by immigration, only by ruthless force in special camps of the East. Extermination in death camps. Official policy, Bormann's signature, Decree of July 1st, 1943, giving Eichmann absolute powers over Jews. Exclusive jurisdiction of Gestapo, 5.5 to 6 million Jews exterminated. Richard Evans, the estimate, 2/3 of European Jewish population. Bormann participated in planning and co-signed virtually all anti-Semitic legislation. Nuremberg prosecution statement, factual, documented, provable, but not just Jews, Slavs. Bormann opposed introduction of German criminal law into conquered eastern territories, lobbied for and achieved strict separate penal code, implementing martial law for Polish and Jewish inhabitants, edict on criminal law practices against Poles and Jews in incorporated eastern territories. December 4th, 1941. Corporal punishment and death sentences for trivial offenses. Bormann supported Erich Koch, Reichskommissar in Ukraine, in brutal treatment of Slavic people. Bormann toured collective farms around Vinnytsia, Ukraine. Concerned about health and physical constitution of population. Concerned they could constitute danger to regime. After discussion with Hitler, issued policy directive to Rosenberg. The Slavs are to work for us. Insofar as we don't need them, they may die. The fertility of the Slavs is undesirable. As to food, they are not to get more than necessary. We are the masters. We come first. Bormann's words, Bormann's policy, and the Volkssturm, Bormann and Himmler shared responsibility. Founded October 18th, 1944. Drafted all remaining able-bodied men aged 16 to 60 into last-ditch militia. Poorly equipped, poorly trained, sent to fight on Eastern Front. Nearly 175,000 killed without discernible impact on Soviet advance. Children and old men thrown at Soviet tanks and artillery. Bormann's signature, Bormann's authorization. So when Bormann witnesses Hitler's testament at 4 in the morning on April 29th, he knows what's coming. He knows the Allies have the documents. He knows the paper trail leads to him. He knows his signature is everywhere. He knows there's no talking his way out, no bureaucratic maneuvering, no controlling access, no political infighting. The game is over. Hitler is planning suicide. The Reich is collapsing. Soviet forces are blocks away. American and British forces hold Western Germany. The evidence exists. The camps are liberated. The mass graves are discovered. The survivors are talking. The documents are captured. Nuremberg is inevitable. Does he think about this when he signs the testament as witness? Does he think about Nuremberg while Hitler dictates his will? Or is he still in bureaucrat mode, still taking notes, still following procedures, still being the faithful party comrade? April 30th, Hitler dead. 3:30 afternoon, Bormann is now party minister officially. Highest position in Nazi party. But the party is finished. The Reich is finished. Everything is finished. Goebbels will be dead in hours. Dönitz is in Flensburg, unreachable. The telegram goes out. Bormann intends to go to you today. But how? Berlin is encircled. Soviet forces control all roads out, all railways, all airports. No way to fly, no way to drive. The only option is on foot, through Soviet lines, through a city being destroyed building by building, through hell. Bormann waits in the bunker. May 1st, 2300 hours. The breakout begins. Why does he go? Why not stay? Why not surrender? Some in the bunker stay, some surrender. General Weidling surrenders 7 hours after Bormann dies. Others choose that route. Why doesn't Bormann? Because he knows what awaits. Interrogation, trial, evidence, his signature on genocide, public exposure, public execution. Maybe he thinks escape is possible. Maybe he thinks he can reach Dönitz. Maybe he thinks he can disappear, change identity, hide, survive, start over. Take Nazi gold, take hidden funds, take false papers, disappear into the chaos of post-war Europe. Millions displaced, refugees, everywhere. Maybe he can blend in. Maybe. Or maybe he knows from the start it's suicide. Maybe the escape attempt is just postponing the inevitable. Maybe the cyanide capsule is the real plan. Escape if possible. Die if not. Either way, avoid capture. That's the priority. Don't let them take you alive. Don't give them the satisfaction. Don't give them the propaganda victory. Don't give them the trial. Don't give them the confession. Don't give them anything. Take the capsule. Quick death. End it. He leaves the bunker, into the tunnels. Ludwig Stumpfegger beside him, 6'4", Hitler's surgeon, specialist in orthopedics, worked on Hitler's inner circle, privy to secrets, medical secrets, political secrets, personal secrets, also facing trial if captured, also carrying cyanide, Arthur Axmann, 31 years old, lost right arm at Stalingrad, head of Hitler Youth since 1940, led children into war, led children to death, Hitler Youth fighters in Berlin, defending ruins, dying in streets, 12-year-olds with Panzerfausts, 14-year-olds with rifles. Axmann sent them, Axmann commanded them, also facing justice, also carrying cyanide, probably. Hans Bauer, Hitler's pilot, 50 years old, flying since 1932, saw everything, heard everything, witnessed to 13 years of Hitler's inner circle, conversations, decisions, orders, privy to state secrets, valuable intelligence if captured. Soviets would want him, interrogate him, extract everything. Bauer knows this. He's calculating odds. Erich Kempke, Hitler's chauffeur, 44 years old, drove Hitler for years. Another witness, another intelligence asset, Werner Naumann, 43. Goebbels, state secretary, propaganda ministry insider, creator of lies, disseminator of lies, architect of Nazi information control. Also facing justice. These men leave the bunker together, separate by morning, dead or captured or escaped by dawn. Bormann and Stumpfegger stay together. Why? Friendship? Trust? Shared fate? Two men who know if one is captured, both are implicated. Two men who know too much about each other. Two men who made a pact, maybe. Die together if necessary. Don't let them take us. Bite the capsule. End it. They surface at Friedrichstrasse station. Berlin burning. Buildings collapsing. Streets impassable. Bodies everywhere. Soviet artillery constant. Machine gun fire. Tracers in the night sky. Searchlights. Flares. The moon half full, waning, giving just enough light to see the devastation. This is the Reich. This is what's left. This is the 1,000-year Reich, 6 years after the war started. Ruins. Fire. Death. They move to Weidendammer Bridge, Soviet anti-tank barrier at North End. Heavy fire. They wait for tanks. King Tiger arrives, 68.5 tons. Biggest, heaviest tank Germany built. Last gasp of German armor. Last attempt to break through. The tank leads. Bormann, Stumpfegger, and dozens of others behind it, using it as shield. Moving across the bridge, Soviet gunner waits. Lets them get close. Fires, direct hit. Tank explodes. Shockwave throws everyone down. Bormann hits the ground hard. Stunned. Ears ringing. Smoke everywhere. Screaming. Dying. Fire. They retreat. Third attempt succeeds. They cross. North side of Spree. But they're still trapped. Still in Berlin. Still surrounded. They follow railway tracks, heading for Lerder station, moving through darkness, through rubble. Avoiding Soviet patrols or trying to... Every shadow is potential enemy. Every sound is potential threat. Every corner is potential ambush. They keep moving. Survival instinct. Keep moving. Don't stop. Stopping means capture. Capture means death. So move. Fast. They reach Lerder station, large railway complex. Heavily damaged. Parts collapsed. Parts burning. They assess. Where to go? East on Invalidenstrasse. West. North. Stay here. Hide. Wait for dawn. Risk movement in daylight. Bormann and Stumpfegger decide east. Axmann decides west. They split. Last time they see each other alive, Bormann and Stumpfegger move east on Invalidenstrasse, running, walking, creeping. Sources don't specify. Probably moving carefully, watching, listening. Two men alone in hostile territory. No backup, no support, no communication. Completely isolated. Dependent on luck, dependent on avoiding Soviet forces. But Soviet forces are everywhere. 8th Guards Army under Chwikov. Thousands of soldiers. Tanks, artillery, patrols, checkpoints, snipers. The Soviets control Berlin. They own it. They're consolidating. They're securing. They're hunting for fleeing Germans. Bormann and Stumpfegger reach the bridge. Invalidenstrasse, crossing the railway tracks. Behind the bridge, they stop. Why? Hear something? See something? Soviet patrol approaching? Voices in Russian? Footsteps? Vehicle sounds? Tank treads? We don't know. Axmann finds them minutes later, already dead, both on their backs, moonlight on their faces, no visible wounds, no blood, but both dead. Cyanide works fast. Hydrogen cyanide blocks cellular respiration, prevents cells from using oxygen. Brain damage within seconds, unconsciousness within seconds, death within minutes. Symptoms include rapid breathing, confusion, dizziness, loss of consciousness, seizures, cardiac arrest. Victim bites capsule, glass breaks, poison releases, absorbed through mucous membranes and mouth. Enters bloodstream immediately, reaches brain in seconds. Neural shutdown, cardiac arrest, death, quick, relatively painless compared to gunshot, compared to torture, compared to slow death. Bormann bites the capsule. Glass shatters in his jaw. Fragments embed in gum tissue. Poison floods his mouth. He swallows. Breathing becomes rapid, erratic. His heart races, then slows, then stops. He collapses, falls backward, lands on his back, face up, moonlight on his face, dead within 2 minutes. Stumpfegger beside him. Same method, same timing, same result. 2 bodies behind the bridge. 2 members of Hitler's inner circle, dead on Berlin ground. Soviet territory, enemy territory, final territory. The time is between 1:30 and 2:30, May 2nd, 1945. Forensic examination in 72 narrows it. German court determination states Bormann and Stumpfegger died in early hours of morning of May 2nd, sometime between 1:30 and 2:30. 1 hour window, 60 minutes. Somewhere in those 60 minutes, Martin Bormann ends. Executor of Hitler's estate never executes anything. Party minister never ministers. War criminal never faces trial. Mass murderer never faces victims. Bureaucrat of genocide never faces judgment. He chooses death. Quick. Private. Anonymous. No witnesses, except Stumpfegger, who dies with him, and Axmann, who finds them minutes later. Is this justice? Is this escape? Is this victory or defeat? Bormann avoids capture, avoids interrogation, avoids trial, avoids public execution, avoids cameras, avoids testimony, avoids confession, avoids accountability. In that sense, he wins. He controls his end. Just like he controlled information flow to Hitler, just like he controlled policy, just like he controlled who lived and died across Europe. Final control, final decision. But he also loses everything. Power gone, position gone, future gone, family gone. He never sees Gerda again. Never sees his 10 children again. Never knows his youngest child. Dies alone with one companion on a bridge in ruins. Dies knowing the Reich is finished. Dies knowing Hitler is dead. Dies knowing everything he built, everything he served, everything he believed in is destroyed. The 1,000-year Reich lasted 12 years. The master race lost the war. The new order collapsed. The vision failed. Everything failed. And Bormann knows it as he bites the capsule. Knows it as the poison enters his bloodstream. Knows it as consciousness fades. Knows it in his final seconds. Total failure, total defeat, total annihilation of everything. And then the cover-up, unintentional but effective. Krumnow buries him 8 days later. No identification, no record, no marker. Anonymous grave. The Soviets destroy Stumpfegger's paybook. Bormann's identification disappears. For 27 years, the mystery persists. For 27 years, the legend grows. For 27 years, people believe maybe he escaped. Maybe he's alive. Maybe he's hiding. Maybe he's laughing at them from Argentina or Moscow or somewhere. The mystery serves a purpose. Keeps the manhunt going. Keeps the Nazi hunting going. Keeps the fear alive. The idea that high-ranking Nazis might still be out there. Still operating. Still dangerous. Still plotting. The mystery has power. But the truth is simpler. Bormann died on May 2nd of 1945, cyanide. Behind a bridge, buried on May 8th in shallow grave, found on December 7th, 1972 by construction workers. Identified by dental records, skull measurements, collarbone damage, composite photographs, facial reconstruction. Confirmed by DNA testing on May 4th, 1998, remains cremated. Ashes scattered over Baltic Sea on August 16th, 1999, gone. Dissolved, returned to nature, no grave, no monument, no memorial, nothing, as it should be. The final 24 hours of Martin Bormann are hours of collapse. Collapse of Reich, collapse of power, collapse of plans, collapse of future, collapse of everything. From 4 in the morning on April 29th, when he witnesses Hitler's testament, to approximately 2 in the morning on May 2nd, when he bites the cyanide capsule, 46 hours pass. 46 hours of watching everything end. Hitler's suicide, Goebbels' suicide, Berlin's fall, Soviet victory, Nazi defeat, and finally, Bormann's suicide. The last act, the final control, the escape that isn't escape, the death that avoids justice but achieves nothing else. What do we learn? That power is temporary. That bureaucratic control means nothing when the system collapses. That signing papers doesn't protect you when the regime falls. That being second man means nothing when first man is dead and enemy is everywhere. That cyanide is quick but solves nothing. Bormann died, but justice died with him. The trial never happened. The testimony never came. The full accounting never occurred. He took his knowledge to the grave, took his memories, took his secrets, took his guilt, never answered for any of it, never faced his victims, never heard their testimony, never saw their pain, never acknowledged his role, never confessed, never repented, just died, quick, clean, easy, too easy. The victims got no such luxury. The Jews in death camps, the Slavs in occupied territories, the prisoners, the children, the old, the sick, the ones Bormann's decrees condemned, the ones Bormann's policies murdered, the ones Bormann's signatures killed, 5.5 to 6 million Jews. Richard Evans estimate 2/3 of European Jewish population, plus Slavs, plus political prisoners, plus disabled, plus Roma, plus homosexuals, plus others, millions. Exact number unknown. Conservative estimates, 12 million civilians and prisoners of war. Higher estimates exceed 20 million. Bormann's role in this: signatory, enabler, implementer, policymaker, decision maker, gatekeeper who controlled access to Hitler and therefore controlled which policies got approval and which didn't. Blood on his hands measured in millions. And he died in 2 minutes from cyanide poisoning on a bridge in Berlin. Quick, private, alone except for Stumpfegger, no accountability, no justice, no trial, no execution, no public judgment, just death. The end, December 7th, 1972. Construction workers near Lerder Station. Shovels hit something solid. Bones. Human remains. 2 skeletons. Close together. Shallow grave. They call authorities. Investigation begins. Could these be Bormann and Stumpfegger? Location matches. Krumnau's testimony from 63. 12 meters off, but close enough. Autopsies performed. Glass fragments in jaws. Cyanide capsules. Suicide confirmed. Dental records match. One skeleton shows collarbone damage consistent with riding accident in 39. Bormann's sons confirmed he had that injury. Skull size and shape match. Composite photographs match. The skeletons are Bormann and Stumpfegger. After 27 years, the mystery solved. The manhunt over. The truth revealed. Bormann died in Berlin, never escaped, never hid in South America, never lived comfortable life with Nazi gold, just died quickly on a bridge and got buried in an unmarked grave and lay there for 27 years while world searched everywhere else. The irony is perfect. The man who controlled information flow died unknown. The man who controlled access died inaccessible. The man who controlled policy died powerless. The man who signed millions of death warrants died anonymous. Perfect irony. Perfect justice in the lack of justice. Bormann wanted control, wanted power, wanted recognition as second man. Got it. Lost it all in 46 hours. From April 29th to May 2nd, witness to testament to corpse on bridge, executor of estate to anonymous body in shallow grave, party minister to nothing. Everything to nothing. 46 hours. This is the final 24 hours. Really? 46? But the 24 that matter most start May 1st, 2300 hours, leaving the bunker, and end May 2nd, approximately 200 hours, dead on the bridge. 27 hours. 27 hours that determine how Martin Bormann exits history. He chose escape attempt and chose breakout, chose risk over surrender, chose death over capture, chose cyanide over justice, chose oblivion over accountability. And for 27 years, it worked. For 27 years, he stayed hidden even in death. For 27 years, the mystery protected him from final judgment. But December 1972 ended that. The construction workers ended that. The forensic scientists ended that. The dentists ended that. The DNA in 98 ended that permanently. Truth emerged. Martin Bormann died May 2nd, 1945. Cyanide, bridge near Invalidenstrasse, buried May 8th, found December 7th, 1972, confirmed May 4th, 1998. Cremated and scattered. August 16th, 1999. Gone. The end. No escape. No survival. No legend. Just death and eventual discovery and final dissolution into Baltic Sea. Anonymous. Forgotten. Appropriate.